Disneyland officially reopened on April 30th, 2021 after being closed for over a year. Things are slowly starting to look how they did before the longest closure of any Disney park in history, but what has changed? And what is still changing? And what can you expect if you're visiting Southern California's Disney parks this year? Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Changing policies, new rides, entirely new lands, restaurant updates, and a whole lot more planning are in store for you if you're visiting Disneyland anytime soon. The OG Disney theme park may be returning to quote-unquote normal, but many things are still different in Disneyland. We're going to take you through those today on DFB Guide. All right, let's start with those health and safety policies. We've seen health and safety policies change in Disneyland at a breakneck speed. Within just 2.5 months since the parks reopened, we've seen temperature checks phased out, mask requirements nearly obliterated, social distancing guidelines tossed to the wayside, and a ban on out-of-state guests revoked. Currently, face coverings are not required for fully vaccinated guests, both indoors and outdoors. Pretty much the only place you do have to wear a mask is on bus transportation to and from the Toy Story parking lot. While Disney is not requiring proof of vaccination, they are asking that all unvaccinated guests continue to wear masks indoors, except for when dining. By entering Disneyland, you are attesting that you're aware of the following. The state of California recommends full vaccination or a negative test result before entering the theme park. And if you're unvaccinated, you will wear a mask when required. But again, that's just a good faith agreement. There are no vaccine or test requirements to visit Disneyland. All the other previous guidelines we have experienced, like mandatory social distancing, dramatically reduced theme park capacities, those are starting to vanish. With the new Delta variant and some Southern California counties recommending mask use indoors regardless of vaccination status, we could see some of these health and safety policies changing. California has been exceedingly more cautious than Florida in their reopening and laxing of statewide policies. And of the two U.S. Disney theme parks, I think it's a safe bet that if one were to reinstate mask guidelines, it would probably be Disneyland first. Now, there is currently no statewide legislature indicating such a change will become necessary, but it's always a good idea to stay informed and aware of any local and statewide guidelines that could impact your Disneyland trip. Neighboring LA County and Universal Studios Hollywood have brought back requirements for all individuals to wear masks when indoors, so it may just be a matter of time until those changes are announced for Orange County as well. We will, of course, keep you up to date over at DisneyFoodBlog.com and on our newsletter, and you can sign up for that in the description of this video. And another big change we've seen, fireworks have returned, though other shows, parades, and character meet and greets as we've known them in the past, the ones where you actually get to hug Mickey, are still on hold. Again, sign up for that newsletter to be the first to know when parades and shows will be returning. Now let's talk park passes and crowd levels. One of the big changes we've had to adjust to on both coasts is the new park reservation systems. To visit Disneyland, you're going to need both a park ticket and a park reservation. They made it simple so you can take care of it all in one transaction when you buy your tickets, but be aware that days can and will sell out. The parks are still operating at a limited capacity. Disney hasn't made an official announcement about where capacity limits stand right now, but it's less than 100%. If you know you'll be visiting Disney over a holiday or long weekend, or on opening night of Oogie Boogie Bash or something like that, make those reservations ASAP. All guests old enough to have a ticket, ages 3 and up, need to have that park reservation to enter, and you can make reservations up to 120 days in advance. Park reservations will likely be around for a while, so don't sleep on making those reservations thinking that Disney may do away with the system. Make them as soon as you buy your tickets so you don't miss out on the days you want to visit the parks. Now, if everything is all booked up when you buy your tickets, you can keep checking back to see if more passes are made available. We're also tracking all of this over at DisneyFoodBlog.com. All right, park hopping. The one caveat to booked up park passes is that if you have a ticket that grants you access to both parks, you can hop to the other park after 1 p.m. and after you visited the park you made your initial reservation for. So if California Adventure was all that was open, you can make your initial park reservation there. Then starting at 1 p.m., you can hop over to Disneyland Park. Park hopper tickets aren't quite as flexible as they were before, but they can still buy you some extra wiggle room in your plans. Now, another huge difference, and I know a lot of you Disneyland locals are not happy about it, no annual passes. Yep, the cancellation of Disneyland's annual pass system. I am with you. My annual pass got canceled too. So if you were a Disneyland annual pass holder, you're now stuck in the tough situation of needing to buy a ticket every time you want to visit the parks, every single time. Legacy pass holders, as we're now called by Disney, still get some special perks and discounts on food and merchandise until Disneyland releases their new annual pass holder program or whatever program they're going to use to replace the annual pass holder program, but that doesn't include any discounts on park tickets right now. Like I said, though, there's a new program in the works, and Disney has so far kept very quiet about when exactly the new pass program may start up and what it might entail. The new program is expected to launch by the end of 2021, though, so keep it tuned right here. Now, another big thing that's changing in Disneyland before your next trip, some new rides. With all that time being closed, Disneyland still had some construction projects in the works, which means we get to experience some new stuff as soon as the parks reopened. Snow White's Scary Adventures, the ride known for terrifying children and causing lingering nightmares in adults, was reimagined to something a little happier, though the creepy evil queen animatronic is still around. Snow White's Enchanted Wish is tamer, more family-friendly, more kid-friendly, but it's still the classic Fantasyland ride. It's just a little different. Haunted Mansion got a few updates as well, though nothing that dramatically changes the ride. Frequent Disneyland visitors will still be able to notice the differences, though. And remember, Rise of the Resistance was only open for about 2 months before Disneyland closed back in March 2020, so for a lot of people that ride is still brand new, even though we've been talking about it since summer 2019 when it opened in Disney World. If it'll still be a little bit before you make it to Disneyland, Splash Mountain may be totally different as well. That ride refurbed to make this a Princess and the Frog themed ride is coming to both coasts, though we still don't have a time frame of when Splash Mountain may close for construction. Now, I know you're thinking, hey AJ, you missed a couple of brand new rides. Well, no, I'm going to lump all those into this next bullet point, brand new land. Avengers Campus opening was postponed by almost exactly a year due to the pandemic, but Disney wasted no time in getting this brand new land ready for guests. You got a brand new ride here as well, Web Slingers, a Spider-Man adventure that takes some of the best parts of shooter rides like Toy Story Mania and combines it with incredible new motion capture technology, so you don't need any kind of gun or device to sling webs. Though Disney is selling a wearable wrist contraption that you can use to plus up the game with unique power sets. There are also new restaurants here, or well, one restaurant and some snack kiosks. Pym Test Kitchen is home to some very uniquely themed eats, like a gigantic piece of fried chicken that comes on an itty-bitty bun. Plus, they've got the family-sized Pym Meanie that can feed 8 people, it's $100, and a gigantic candy bar, plus the Pingo Dolce neon green soda from the Incredible Hulk. You'll also find a bowl of cereal at breakfast that comes served in a gigantic spoon. Next door is Pym Tasting Lab with beer, cocktails, hard seltzer, and some snacks like snack molecules, a mix of mini pretzels, honey roasted peanuts, and sweet and spicy popped sorghum. Shawarma Palace and Terran Treats are 2 carts that offer up the rest of the Avengers-themed food in the land. Now, Shawarma Palace is the only real MCU food location that they were able to bring to the park. This kiosk has chicken gyros and plant-based falafel wraps. And Terran Treats has those colorful swirled churros and the Cosmic Cream Orb, a cream puff filled with whipped raspberry cheesecake. The other big draw of Avengers Campus is the character interaction. Like Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the characters are interacting with their environment and you, rather than posing at standard character meet and greets. And perhaps thanks to the branching of timelines and establishment of the multiverse within the MCU, you can meet characters like Iron Man and Black Widow alongside Ant-Man, Thor, and Loki. You may see Black Panther and Black Widow battling villains on the rooftops, or Spider-Man flying 80 feet into the air. We're finally seeing those incredible stuntronics in action. And you can also meet Spidey, not a robot this time, on the ground in front of the WEB Web building. Doctor Strange also welcomes guests into the ancient sanctum, and the Dora Milaje can be seen walking through the land. Now, if you want to know even more about Avengers Campus, we've got a full video covering opening day of the new land and everything you need to know about the food, the ride, and the experience. Next on our list of things that are going to be different about your next Disneyland trip, more virtual queues. Yep. FastPass and MaxPass, Disneyland's ways of skipping their regular standby lines, are still on pause, and that means you'll experience more time waiting in line than on your previous Disneyland trips, with the major exception of virtual queues. Now, Disneyland is using virtual queues in more places than Disney World is. You'll find it at Rise of the Resistance and Web Slingers, and sometimes at Indiana Jones Adventure. For both Rise of the Resistance and Web Slingers, a spot in the virtual queue is the only way you're going to get to ride, which means more planning than ever before for most Disneyland visitors. You need to know how to use the Disneyland app to find the virtual queues and when spots in the queue are distributed, plus the rules around having more than one reservation. It can be confusing, especially when Disneyland's FastPass system was always a little more straightforward than what Disney World uses. You don't need to worry about booking virtual queues in advance. They only become available on the day of. Currently, virtual queues open for Web Slingers and Rise of the Resistance at 7 a.m. and noon. The 7 a.m. time slot, you're only going to be able to make a reservation for the ride that's in the park that you have a park pass reservation for. If you're starting in California Adventure, you can try to get into the Web Slingers virtual queue at 7 a.m., but you'll need to wait until noon and have a park hopper ticket to try for that Rise of the Resistance reservation. You cannot have a virtual queue pass for both rides at the same time, and it'll be pretty tough to ride both in the same day. In theory, you could grab one pass for one ride at 7 a.m., and as long as you ride before noon, you could attempt to grab a pass for the other ride. Again, this will be very tough to do in practice, but not impossible. Virtual queues for Indiana Jones and any other rides Disney may add to the list will likely open and close based on how crowded the park is. You may find that when you're in Disneyland, Indiana Jones never uses a virtual queue system and just operates the standby line. Keep an eye on the Disneyland app to see if they employ the system or not before walking over to the ride entrance. All right, another big difference about your next Disneyland trip, there's more alcohol in Disneyland now. Yep, new rides, lands, and slightly confusing new virtual queues aren't the only changes that happened in Disneyland while we were on lockdown. We've got restaurant changes too. The formerly dry Disneyland Park now has another spot to grab an alcoholic beverage. Oga's Cantina was the first location in the park outside of Club 33, 21 Royal, and Salon Nouveau to serve alcohol, but now you can get beer, wine, and a hurricane cocktail at the Blue Bayou restaurant. Alcohol being added to menus in Disneyland and Magic Kingdom are always a hot topic. The parks have traditionally not allowed alcohol, though Magic Kingdom started to change the rules when Be Our Guest restaurant opened, and now serves wine and beer at all table service restaurants. Disneyland broke the mold when Oga's Cantina opened with their pre-mixed cocktails allowed to be consumed inside the lounge of Galaxy's Edge. This may be a step toward beer and wine sales at table service restaurants in all of Disneyland Park, or it could stay localized to just Blue Bayou. We'll keep you posted. And other menu and restaurant changes. The inclusion of alcohol isn't the only one we've seen at Disneyland's restaurants. Cafe Orleans pulled a switcheroo on the menu and now offers just half of that iconic Monte Cristo sandwich rather than the full-size sandwich that was there prior to the closures. This is an unexpected and frankly unwelcome change. If we're being honest, this thing is the same price as it was before, but half a whole sandwich is swapped out for a side of fries. And even though the hotels have reopened, both Steakhouse 55 at the Disneyland Hotel and PCH Grill at Disney's Paradise Pier Hotel are closed, and according to the Orange County Register, those restaurants are going to remain closed. No word on what these restaurants may become, but we will keep you updated. It seems they're due for some Disney reimagining. Character dining is returning to Disneyland. The character breakfast featuring Mickey officially reopens tomorrow, if you're watching this video the first day we post it, July 22nd, 2021. And Plaza Inn will also have a character breakfast with Minnie and friends starting August 12th. Disneyland is definitely going to be different when you next visit, but not all of it is bad. New lands and new rides are an exciting accomplishment in the face of a year-plus long closure. Still, there are a few things you'll want to stay aware of, and the easiest way to stay up to date on all the latest updates is by signing up for our newsletter. We send it out several times a week, and we send out breaking news alerts as soon as we have the info, so you will always be the first to know. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.